Welcome to the most must-see mania slash wrestling podcast in the world, the No Sell Podcast. Follow us, or you are not using the trademark phrase, but I am joined by Alan. How are we doing?
Yes, I'm good. I am very good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I've missed the last couple of pods, and so I have a lot of bits and bobs that I have to catch up on. But it's been a good couple of days of wrestling in terms of volume, but it remains to be seen whether or not we feel that there was quality there.
Yes.
And we will lay the smack down and give our views on it. And we are also going to be joined by a very special guest. So let me just quickly adjust our set and shows like this. Oh no, it's not that one.
So every time I come up, I laugh.
Yes, indeed. But I'm sure he will pop in when he's ready to get involved. But I suppose we'll quickly dive in to, what is the ongoing story in wrestling at the moment, and that the King of the Ring and the women, the Queen of the Ring. But the other things that happened on Raw the last day were as follows. Now, it would help if I still have my notes up in front of me. So we had Chaddy Daddy getting a pinfall over Rusev. We had Charlotte defeating Roxanne Perez, and the bouncy one defeating Austin Theory. But what I'll start with is, obviously, for the first time since probably Orton when he was out injured, they brought in someone that can compete to do a bit, and that is Logan Paul. Is this a desperation move to save the division?
I think so, because obviously Heyman's out of action. That's kayfabe. He's been put out of action. Braun wasn't on Raw that I saw. Granted, I haven't seen the whole show, but he wasn't on Raw at all. So bringing in Rogan, they need it. Well, do I say star power? Because the division is running blind at the moment with just Austin Theory.
I agree.
Bronson Reed's out of action.
And hey, welcome to Tequila, the Body Ventura. He's obviously our resident connoisseur of wrestling as well, and we're looking forward to his views as well.
Just like a typical wrestler, I've got an ice pack on my shoulder from taking all the bumps. So I join you injured, but still here. How are we doing, guys? What you guys been talking about?
Go on, Rebel.
We just started, and we summarised the three results from outside of the King Queen of the Ring, and obviously the bloodline tribal bum segment. But we were just saying there that Logan Paul, possibly the first injured wrestler to actually be brought back to start cutting a few promos, because I don't remember it being happening since Randy Orton, and we were just talking about, is there desperation to try and save the division, because it's unusual for them to bring in an injured person that can't go in between the ropes.
I'm not sure why they. What part of the division are they trying? So just so I understand it, they're going to try to save the division by bringing in Javon Evans.
Well, either that, or they're just going to have Logan Paul cutting promos and beating him down every week.
Tell you what, guys, that vision is. I don't know if there's a worse faction I've seen in a long time. Even the manager's injured, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Secret Service, that shit.
Oh yeah, you had fun with them last night.
Yep.
No, I don't know what they're doing. I think Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is a bit of a heat magnet, I suppose you could say that they can still get value out of him, but it's just like, I mean, talk about flogging a dead horse. I mean, Breaker, I guess Breaker's still there, but I assume after Breaker Rollins feud ends, which is going to be it's a steel cage, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the end of that. So then, once that's done, I just think you just get rid of them, don't you? I mean, like, why would we keep them around, guys? Like, why would you?
Very true. I suppose it's just a segment that seems to be cursed by injuries because obviously they've had one after another and had to swerve storylines surrounding the division constantly in order to keep the thing moving. But as you said, if they kind of bring in Javon Evans, it's probably going to be over sooner rather than later for the division anyway because there's just too many new faces. Like, the biggest hope is that Bronson Reed gets back sooner rather than later. But by the looks of it, he's just going to be working out for the time being. So who knows what the timeline is on him. Before we get into the rest of the main bits and bobs, Chad Gable, he returned with his Alpha Academy music. Positive or negative?
Did he? I heard different music when he came out.
Yeah, so apparently his theme got Def Rebelled, as they call it. Basically, you know, he had his old theme for like 1 week, and then he comes out on Raw and he's got a generic Def Rebel theme.
So the rock theme he had.
Oh, did they give him another one again? Did they? Oh, why can't they leave things alone?
Well, they haven't had good music since Jim Johnson was there. I mean, they've had the occasional good song, but I mean, just in general, the quality of the music since Jim Johnson obviously did all the. I mean, you got to remember Jim Johnson, and it was a combination of Jim Johnson and Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart is responsible for a hell of a lot of iconic music in wrestling. There was a podcast. I don't know if Rebel Allen saw this. Cody Rhodes' podcast. Jimmy Hart was on the other week. And you find out all the great themes that he played a role in. And it just makes you think, why haven't they got somebody like that? A wrestling guy, right? A wrestling guy who's musically inclined to make these themes for them. Why isn't there like a new version of kind of Jimmy Hart around? It doesn't have to be Jimmy himself. He's probably a bit too old now. But I mean, somebody like that who's musically inclined, who is in the wrestling business, who can do this stuff. The quality we could do a whole show, guys, on the quality of wrestling themes, the iconic ones. I'm sure we've all got different ideas about which ones we like.
Sure. Yep, coming soon, man.
Just in general, guys, just in the general quality of music in wrestling nowadays compared to not just the stuff in the 80s. I mean, it wasn't just that. The Attitude Era as well had a lot of classic songs. And nowadays, there's a couple of exceptions, but there's so. Go watch Royal Rumble. Especially watch the women's. Watch the women's Royal Rumble. Tell me if you remember any of those themes.
Very true. I want to hit you with some online reaction to the Def Rebelling of Chad Gable. So, AI slap and generic vibes. They put a generic theme that wouldn't sound out of place in an ad for a Ford truck was one of the comments. The Def Rebel fatigue. I missed Osama Def Rebel. He's now struck again and given another wrestler a jobber banger entrance. You can give the crowd something to chant to. They changed it to "You can't do the Kurt Angle chants anymore," pretty much. And then on positive side, I don't know where this person got this vibe from, but the Hulk Hogan aura, I loved it. I was getting slight Hulk Hogan vibes, like a real American hero making his way to the ring. At least it has lyrics, better than generic instrumental. And somebody else called it the sign for a major push. The new team song is good for Chad Gable. He needs to be treated like a top guy going forward.
What I will say is, I suppose if you want to try to be optimistic, you could say the fact that they're even bothering to give him a new theme shows at least a bit of investment in them.
True.
More than zero. Because if they didn't change his theme at all or didn't care, I suppose that we'd be complaining about that. Like they're not bothering at all. So I guess if you want to try to be optimistic, you can say at least they've bothered to put the time in to give him a new theme. It's just that obviously the people that've got to do it are the same old shit that they've always used. Because, like I say, they haven't got anyone of real talent anymore who can make new stuff. So, but if you want to be positive, at least they tried to give him a new theme.
That's very true.
Fair points, lads. Fair points. Do you even want to talk about Charlotte Flair, or will we move on to?
Yeah, I got something to say about that match.
Huh? Go on.
Yeah, that match. I actually watched that match. I don't know why. It occurred to me how remarkably manufactured her matches are.
Who Charlotte's?
Yeah, that match. She was basically waiting there for like seconds, right, for the spot to happen. You know, but she gets thrown. She gets literally thrown over the rope, stands in the apron, waits a second while Roxanne Perez runs towards her so she can put a boot up. You know, there was no fluidity to that match at all. It was all waiting for a spot to happen. So badly rehearsed, that match. So badly rehearsed.
I've got stuff I could say, but I don't know if you want me to say it because it's not very PC. But do we care?
No, we don't. How about it?
Okay, so you've got 4 women, right? And one of these women is not like the other. This isn't going to be PC, so if you're a snowflake, turn away. 4 of these women. One of these women is not like the other. I'll let Alan figure out which one is not like the other. Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Charlotte Flair. Which is the odd one out of those 4? Alan.
Charlotte Flair.
Right. Do you want to say why, or shall I come out and just say it?
No, go for it.
She's not a very attractive woman.
That's very true.
The other 3 are all really attractive women, and I'm going to go further because I'm being honest, right? You want honesty, I'll be honest, right? There is a women market. I'm not saying there's no women wrestling fans. There are, right? It's still more men than women, right? But guys want to see hot women. Don't think they don't. They do. I'm not saying that's all they want, but they do. And also, little girls, right? If you're a woman growing up, who are you more likely to be? Who's going to appeal to you more? A freak like Charlotte Flair. Now, when I call her a freak, listen to me. I mean, like she's a very physically big woman. Most women are nowhere near the size of Charlotte Flair in real life. They're just not. It's rare. You're going to get a lot more women who are smaller, like Liv Morgan, like Alexa Bliss, and they sell a lot of merchandise for young girls, right? So why is it that Charlotte Flair is the one winning all these matches, and you've got Liv Morgan, who've gone, she's a champion. You've got Alexa Bliss, you can't buy a win. She's turned into Charlotte Flair's jobber friend. That's what her role is now. She takes the pinfalls, and then you've got Roxanne Perez, and they're all more or less afterthoughts, and it's all on Charlotte Flair. So as a hot-blooded man, right, I don't understand at all why they do what they do. Now, if people think I'm out of line, I'm not. I'm being honest. Right. So what is it? Why is Charlotte Flair still being pushed and marketed this way when there is no desire really from most blokes? I'm not saying using the eye of the beholder a little bit, but most blokes aren't that interested in Charlotte Flair again, right? And most women can't relate to Charlotte Flair. She's not an inspiration for most normal women. That's one of the reasons why Alexa Bliss kind of was so popular. That's why her silly doll, and it is a silly doll, but that's why her silly doll was so kind of popular and stuff like that. That's why her merchandise has been so popular over the years, Alexa Bliss, because she's a small woman, which lots of girls can probably relate to. So I just don't understand this. I'm getting around the what I'm saying. I just do not understand this continuously push for Charlotte Flair, and why I've got to sit and watch 3 women who are better than her in every way, other than maybe a wrestling ability, which is a thing she's probably best at. Not that she's that good, so let's not get carried away. just that that's probably her best attribute because the rest of her attributes are so bad. She can't cut a promo. Okay, she's got very little charisma as far as I'm concerned. I don't think she's got a particularly good look either. Maybe a little bit in that kind of monster heel look, I suppose, a little bit. So why is she continuing to get pushed? And I've got to sit and watch Alexa Bliss and Roxanne Perez on the sidelines being sacrificed for her. I mean, Liv Morgan's slightly different. Liv Morgan is the women's champion, so I can't sit here and say she's not getting attention, even though Rebel, I'm sure you might have already mentioned this. Do you know that she's not defended the title?
That doesn't surprise me, and the question that I'm going to have for both of you later on when we are touching on the Queen of the Ring, but you did forget one other. There's one other odd one out in those 4 women that you mentioned.
What's that?
3 are blonde, one isn't.
They do like their blondes. They do like their blondes. There is no getting around that. They do like their blondes as well. Maybe that's a secret then. Rebel. Maybe Roxanne needs to go and get her hair dyed, and then she'll be a big star.
Could be. Actually, I can ask you a question about why Charlotte Flair is being pushed.
Other than the second name, I mean, Alan, because that's the obvious one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna. Yeah. Nepotism is probably the whole guiding light of the WWE at the moment. Nepotism.
I don't see what they see, so I'm trying to understand what the appeal is, because in my mind, I don't think she appeals to that many men. I'm not going to say no men, because we've all got different tastes slightly, but I don't think she appeals to that many men. I don't think she appeals to that many women, especially young women, right? So who is Charlotte Flair appealing to? I'm trying to figure this out because I've never understood it. But the fact we're like, well, I don't know. We're 10 years into the Charlotte Flair non-stop push. I said before that she's the female version of Roman Reigns, and what more proof do you still need? But I just don't get it. Do the fans react that well? I mean, I'm not saying she doesn't get any cheers. I'm not saying that the fans are silent when she comes out. But does she get such a reaction that justifies this?
I'm going to come in there and I'm going to offer you a possible plausible explanation. And it's to do with human nature now rather than her in-ring name or what she's done as her career. But as of late, she's befriended a family with a very sick young daughter, so much so that she goes around their house and spends time with the little girl. So there is very much a human good feel story going around her at the moment with the way that she engages with them.
So that's more like Make-A-Wish stuff, like the stuff that Cena used to do, that kind of stuff.
I suppose in around that, yeah. Except I don't think it was organised via Make-A-Wish. She just did it.
Well, okay. I mean, I could be skeptical and say that shouldn't be the reason. Like, what I mean like that is that the WWE, and we know that they're not past doing this. We know that Vince loved to do this. So did Stephanie, actually. They would love to take a kind of charity story and they'd make sure that the whole world found out about it to make themselves look good. I'm not saying Charlotte's doing this. I don't know. You know, Charlotte could be completely doing this off her own back. You know, Charlotte's probably a lovely girl. I've got nothing against. I don't know any of these women personally, so it could be that she's doing it completely for the right reasons. But my point is, once WWE find out about it, they're going to milk that son of a bitch. So maybe you're right, Rebel. Maybe you're right.
And I suppose I will say, at all times we're referring to people, we're referring to their in-show characters. We don't know anything about them personally. Some of them could be absolutely wonderful. Some of them could be absolute, you know what. But we're talking about characters here. That's it. I'll bring us on, so I suppose, to the next issue. And I'm actually going to bump it ahead of, because I think the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, Tequila, you have a bit to say with the way that the direction travel WWE has taken. But the Bloodline opened with Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, and the official welcoming of Jacob Fatu and presentation of kind of his seal of tribal office, and we saw him attack an actor. So yet again, we have an actor being brought into the sphere of influence on WWE programming, and are we running back a mess in this new version of the original Bloodline?
Oh, I've got a lot to say on this one. Alan, do you want to go first? Because I'm going to rant probably.
Roman Reigns and his I mean, it's the same thing we've been saying every week. He shows up in his own private car, walks in, flanked by his cousins, asks for a guy to give him his title, walks to the ring with a snarl on his face. What about this guy makes him a face? And this whole thing about attacking the actor, and then Roman Reigns even says one more time. Does that make him a face? What has the actor done? This actor's done nothing. He was in the crowd. He wasn't doing anything.
The actor hasn't. I can tell you who the actor. I say who the actor is. I don't know him because I don't know any of these B-list actors. But I can tell you that the reason why he was there is because he's doing a show with Cena, a Netflix show. So that's the reason he's there. So this is going to be. That's
plus he's in. And plus he's in Street Fighter as well, apparently.
Yes, with Roman. Yes, so that are the two reasons there. So Netflix probably were the ones who probably wanted him there. I can't tell you. I can't explain to you why they did the angle they did. I've got no answer for that one.
So yeah, I don't know what they're going with because we've said it time and time again. There is nothing face about this bloodline. And then you get to the whole LA Knight segment with the Usos come out. And it turns into a 3-on-1. What part of that makes them a face? LA Knight has done nothing but tell the truth the whole way round. He's called them out every single time. And he's the one who always seems to get attacked by them all.
The only one who doesn't come across as overly heelish, that's Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, he's the only
one who comes across as face-ish, because he still super kicked him, right? But he comes across as face-ish. The other three are blatantly heel. And the biggest heel of the bunch, is Roman Reigns. So it comes from the top.
I've got so much. He's face-ish.
I got so much to say, but I don't know. Again, I don't know how PC you want me to be, Rebel. I don't want to get this thrown off.
You're fine. Drive on.
Okay, let me tell you whose fault this is. It's the WWE fans' fault. It's their fault. Because the WWE fan base has lost, not all of them, again, it's a generalization. A lot of them, and it's not all, but it's a lot, have lost the idea of what a hero is. They don't know what they obviously do not know what a hero. They're so caught up with the catchphrases. It's gone. The catchphrases and it's always been a thing, right? So the catchphrase itself isn't new, but the reliance on catchphrases has become so bad now that it doesn't matter what the characters are anymore. If you ever needed any more proof of this, when Seth Rollins was a heel, he kept his music. What did the fans do? They sang but he's an evil heel terrorizing the baby faces, right? During this period of time. Seth's his own worst enemy because he should have been smart enough, and he wasn't or didn't want to get rid of the song, to stop it. That's another argument. He didn't. He kept the song. The fans kept doing it. It's the fans. The fans do not know what they want to do. They're so obsessed with singing songs. They're so obsessed with catchphrases that they don't care about the characters anymore. They don't care that Roman Reigns is acting like a heel because he has been. He's been, to be honest, he's been a heel for the last 7 years. The last time he actually was a babyface really was before he won the title originally with the Bloodline. So even though he kind of turned face when Solo Sikoa took over the Bloodline, he kind of turned face, but he made no changes to the character. He continued to treat people like shit, and he was cheered. And it's gone on and on and on, and now we're repeating the same bloody storyline with the same characters in the same position, other than Jacob Fatu. He's the only thing that's even remotely new in the whole storyline. Everyone else is in the same roles. But it is the fans' fault, because if the fans were reacting as they probably should do throughout most of the history of wrestling, these guys would be getting booed. But they're not, because they're so obsessed with putting their fingers in the air. Oh, you're the ones, right? They're so obsessed with it that they don't know the characters. So this is what I mean by the wrestling fans have killed it, because the wrestling fans in the arenas are just like sheep, man. They are just like sheep. They are not given the appropriate reactions they should be for the characters. And because of that, we're getting these characters now where, as Alan said, the Bloodline are all heels. The only one who's even remotely faces is Jimmy. And LA Knight is a popular babyface, right? Maybe not the most popular, but he's one of the most popular guys on Raw, right? He comes out telling the truth, right? He gets beaten down. They don't even particularly boo. There was a smattering. Of boos. But it's not. Why are the fan base not booing the Bloodline for attacking LA Knight? 3-on-1, by the way. 3-on-1, by the way. But they're not. So I just don't think they care anymore. If you've got a fan base who just don't react to anything anymore because they just don't care, that really ruins it for the rest of us who do try to get into the characters. I watch wrestling nowadays for the characters. I don't watch wrestling to see flashy moves. Because to be brutally honest with you guys, I've seen every move under the sun. I've seen every move under the sun by every wrestlers, and several by wrestlers that make the current wrestlers today bad in comparison. I've already seen the best. I know what the best wrestlers look like, and none of them are around in the WWE anymore. I can tell you that. So I've seen what the best pro wrestling looks like. So I can't get to that kind of stuff. So I need to get stuff out of the characters. And how can I get stuff out of the characters when all the people I want to cheer are apparently bad guys, and all the bad guys are getting cheered? How am I meant to get into it, man? Sorry.
Can I just actually bring something to you, because we mentioned it before. You mentioned about Seth Rollins and the fact that he's a heel and the fans are still doing the music along with him. If you remember when Becky Lynch went heel first, she kept on her same music and it just didn't work, and they abandoned the heel turn and she went back to being a face. But this time, did you know, she actually had the cojones to go off and have her music changed. And guess what? Her heel turn stuck this time.
Yeah, she went the full way with the character, and this is why I do like Becky Lynch, because she is, even though people can say she's not the best, and she's not the best wrestler, but I tell you what I like about her more than most is she tries to get people. She knows her role and tries to get the right responses for her role. She knows she's a heel, so she's trying to be a heel. When I look at like the Bloodline, I don't understand what they're trying to be, because everything other than the reaction is a heel. It confuses the basic storytelling. That doesn't mean that I want all my good guys or my babyface to be squeaky clean. Stone Cold Steve Austin is not the most popular babyface, and in the top 2 or 3 was far from a squeaky clean good guy, but he still had some kind of a weird code to him. Steve Austin didn't used to have a group of people running with him, beating people up. Steve Austin was the kind of guy who would run in there and beat them up himself, but by himself. He wouldn't have a numbers advantage. It's basic storytelling that is just backwards. I can't get my head around what they're doing with LA Knight. Me and Alan last week, Rebel, when we were talking about the King of the Ring, we both said LA Knight surely's got to win this, because he's got to turn.
Yeah, right.
It's the only thing that makes any kind of sense. And of course, they've gone and made. Well, we'll get to it in a sec, but they've gone and Jay Uso. I can't understand just the basics of storytelling, Rebel. I'm sorry, maybe I'm too old for this, and maybe that is true. Maybe it has moved. But let me ask you this quickly: Has even though society changes, and it does, right? It's not the 90s anymore. It's not the attitude anymore. Fine. It's not the 80s anymore, right? Morality is slightly shifted. It's shifted, but is it completely 180 now?
I don't think it's the shift in morality. Like the core thing that you should be able to do, as you said, is tell a story and have the definition of roles, i.e., you're a good guy and you're a bad guy, and you can also have a couple like Randy Orton who can trade the middle and kind of do both whenever he feels like it, because let's be fair, he's a special talent and there's always room for somebody like that to kind of shake up the apple tart. But what WWE have lost is they've lost storytelling. They've lost definition of roles. Like, people might have a caught at other wrestling promotions for other things that they do wrong, but at least the majority of them are able to keep your heel and your face separated, and there's a line of demarcation, And those wrestlers go out there and they try to elicit the responses that are wanted. And sometimes when a heel turn doesn't work, you've even seen wrestlers who are clued in enough to say, right, you want to try and do the heel move, and they do a double turn during the course of the story. But as you said, there's a lack of comprehension and understanding. And as you said, I think there's a lot of blame to be put, particularly on the American audience who have the thing 99% of the year, in not identifying those roles and reacting accordingly.
It just I think it just affects the basic storytelling of matches as well. I mean, we had the CM Punk Roman Reigns feud. Okay, they were both baby faces, but we knew they were baby faces. Kind of. They both had their heelish moments, right? CM Punk obviously had a couple of weeks where he was a little bit out of line when he talked about Roman's father. So CM Punk, again, they haven't got to be squeaky clean good guys. They don't have to be squeaky clean, right? They can have, they can have faults. They can sometimes, that's fine. But we've got a bit like it on SmackDown. I don't know if you covered SmackDown before he joined Rebel, but you've got the weird character. They've got the weird Sami Zayn character, which is it's weird. The Sami Zayn character is weird as well because he's saying he's the last good guy. He's the last proper good guy, and he's got literally printed on his t-shirt. And he's trying to be this morally person. Now it's a little bit obviously tongue in cheek. I get it. But again, it's another one of these characters where, am I meant to boo Sami Zayn?
I think
am I meant to? Am I meant to?
I don't think they know what they want to do with Sami Zayn. Like, I think when you're looking at what they're doing there, they're trying to throw darts at a dartboard and hoping something will stick. Like, we've got one of the most talented in-ring performers and possibly out-of-ring performers that WWE have in their books, doing a plank week in, week out at the moment. A plank.
Yeah.
And it's just a total fumbling of talent. But as you said, now we've got we've nearly got a schizophrenic Sami Zayn in that 1 week we're getting the Sami Zayn that the House of Black was trying to bring out, and Killian Cross before that, and then the other times you're getting those what's up, Sami Zayn, and you don't know whether you're coming or going with the guy at this stage. It's a jumbled mess.
I think Rebel, that the argument always is, it's shades of grey. Characters are no longer good guys and bad guys. They're shades of grey, and that's fine. But there's still an alignment. I mean, you and me played D&D Rebel. There's different versions, but there is still a kind of, there is still forks in the road. Do you get my point? There is different versions of them. There's the lawful good guy who does no wrong, and that character won't fly nowadays because that's not a real character. And then you've got the more chaotic good characters, the kind of anti-heroes, which are very popular in wrestling. I like them as well. These are a great example. But even so, there's still forks in the road, and it just seems like there's so many of these characters, almost like they're neutral. And it's just like, if you're playing a whole bunch of neutral characters, then how do you plan long-term stories when you've got a bunch of neutral characters?
Very true. It's very hard to gauge where you're going with these people when they they're all skating the edge. But you have kind of brought me into this situation, and I'm also going to talk about the fumble that is not given us Raquel Rodriguez versus Liv, and them missing that opportunity. But before I do that, something you identified to us in the group chat, I think it was either Monday evening or Tuesday morning, was that there's now currently no SmackDown superstar left in the tournaments.
You got Charlotte Flair's the only one, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
Yeah, I think me and Alan spoke about this last week, didn't we? I think we said, literally it's been dominated by Raw, and that was even more of a reason why it's just like, really, even though me and Alan both said storyline wise it made sense for LA Knight to win, really it should have been a SmackDown guy, which would have been Balor or Royce Keith. And if they weren't going to go with LA Knight, which obviously they didn't, why didn't they put a Balor in? Why couldn't a Balor, for argument's sake, win that match last year? Last week. Why couldn't it have been Balor? Why couldn't they put Balor versus Javon Evans? Why is it Jey Uso? Why? I don't get it, man.
Nepotism.
But is it as simple as that? Is that really is all it is?
It must be, because there's no logical reason for him to have won that match. No logical reason. So what? Now he goes to face Cody Rhodes. He goes to face Cody. He wins this. Faces Cody Rhodes.
Alan, they can't seriously be thinking about that as a right. If it was an old-fashioned SummerSlam,
no. Do you know? I've got it.
What?
Right. This is my prediction. It might be a spoiler. Thank you, Mr. Heyman.
Hey, Heyman.
Right. So Femi's beaten. Femi has beaten Dominic. Jay will then go on to beat Evans. That will set up the Femi Uso match. Femi will beat Jey Uso, but something will happen after that match involving Brock Lesnar that will incite the third match in their little series to happen at SummerSlam. Oh, Cody hasn't got an opponent now. Oh, look in my eyes. What do you see? Cult of personality. CM Punk steps in for the world title match at SummerSlam. So this whole King of the Ring thing's going to be a fucking farce. It was not going to mean anything in the end.
I was about to say, if they were to go with that, that makes the whole tournament pointless.
Well, why not? The King of the Ring is pointless. It's been pointless for years. There's like we spoke last week. You're missing the whole storytelling of the tournament by holding it over a course of a few weeks. You need to hold it in one event, in one night.
Did there used to be a battle royal?
No.
What, for King of the Ring? No, it was always single elimination.
Single elimination. 50-minute time limit to start with. 50 minutes for the first round, 30 minutes for the semi, and then a full hour for the final. That's what we need.
What was the over-the-top battle royal one then? I know, not obviously the Royal Rumble, but there was a 15-man battle royal for something before as well.
When was this, Rebel? What this year?
No, this used to be back in the late 90s, early 90s. There was a battle royale, but don't ask me what it was for. For some reason, I was associating it with the King of the Ring. But yeah, no, it makes sense that, as you said, these multi-day kind of spreadings of matches, they just don't seem to hit the mark. But I want to talk to you about Queen of the Ring, because even though the Judgment Day is more dead than Cullum's LA Knight impression, they did not take the opportunity to give us Liv versus Raquel. How much of a fumble is that?
Me and Alan, we said this we both agreed that surely that's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only reason that makes sense for Liv Morgan being in the whole tournament. Like, there's no other reason for her to be in it. If that's not what they were going to do, and of course they've ended up not doing it. So why is she in the tournament then? They haven't done it. Raquel lost to Io Sky. So why is Liv Morgan in this tournament?
Exactly. There's no point for her to be in there. She's a champion, so she wins. When what? Places herself.
Unless they're seriously thinking about unifying the belts, which I would have no problem with, honestly, if I'm honest. They don't need to have 4 singles women's titles. 2's enough, so they could easily unify the US and the IC, and then they could unify the 2 world, and nothing of value would be lost. So unless they're planning on doing that by having Liv Morgan win the whole thing and then facing Rhea Ripley, who, by the way, might be injured, so that might not be at SummerSlam. She might have to vacate that belt. That'll be interesting. And so unless Liv Morgan's going to win the whole thing and they're going to unify the belts, I don't see what the point of it is. I think Alan is a good chance your favourite wins though. Sky. I think might be setting up her versus Rhea Ripley again.
Great.
But that's their big match they want to do again.
Bathroom break match, lovely.
It's going to be Charlotte. It's going to be Charlotte though. I'm convinced.
Yeah, of course. She needs a yearly title shot, doesn't she?
Well,
she's the new Kane.
That's exactly it, Alan. They view her so impressively that because she's not had a title shot for a year, it's like they've got to rectify that as soon as possible. And apparently people want to see her versus Rhea again. I'm good.
Nah, seen it once, don't have to see it again.
I've seen it more than once. It's been they've fought several times on pay-per-view. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
So, Rebel, who do you think's gonna?
Well,
there's only
I think looking at the men's side, I have an awful feeling that Brock is actually going to take out Oba, and Jay's going to get the win, and we're going to be running Jay versus the Coldster in SummerSlam.
Oh God, please no.
They better have another match lined up to main event night 1 then. What I mean by that is if they're doing that, if that's really what they're going to do, then they need to have night 1 be main evented by Brock and Oba then. Because you can't put Cody versus Jay as the main event.
I would agree with you.
That's ridiculous.
But in which case, Brock and Oba have to go longer than 5 minutes.
Well, they might go 6 minutes, Alan. Depends how many F5 they want to have Brock. How many is it going to be this time, Brock? You're going to hit him with 10. He's going to kick out of all of them.
Probably.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think Jay and Cody is a main event match for night 1. It's probably the opening match of night 1, I'll be honest with you. And the problem I have then is that we saw what happened the last time that Jay had a belt. And the only reason for Jay to be in it is if he's going to win it. They're not going to put one of the Samoa Brotherhood in there if he's not going to take the belt. And we've then got another whole month or 2 of nonsense before somebody eventually crushes him and takes the belt back off him. So I would be very fearful. Like I think that there's a sign of the apocalypse. I think SmackDown's in big trouble with their storyline if they put the belts on Jay. On the women's side, I actually think they're going to run Io versus Liv twice. Once in the Queen of the Ring final, where Io gets the better of her, and then again running it back when Io challenges her for the title and loses.
I mean, they could do it could go that way, or it could just be Charlotte. I don't think Liv Morgan's winning it. I don't think she is going to win it. Because I don't think they are going to unify the belts. One thing quickly I wanted to add about the King of the Ring though with Jay Rebel is we're all assuming Cody's going to be the champion. Now, I'm not saying I expect him to lose it, but he does have a match with Gunther for the belt next week on SmackDown, and they've got Sami Zayn as a referee. So, if they wanted to get the belt off Cody and protect him, the story obviously writes itself. They've got Sami Zayn because it looks like they want to do a Cody Sami Zayn feud sooner rather than later. They've been building for it for ages, right? So they probably want to turn that into a proper blood feud, right? Right now, it's not quite there. It's like they're arguing, but they're still not beating the shit out of each other, right? So that it can escalate. So if they want to escalate that to the next level, which I'm sure they do at some point, Sammy screwing him over in the match and giving Gunther the belt, but then that's Gunther versus Jey Uso again. We've already seen that several times last year. Jay won the belt off Gunther at WrestleMania, and then Gunther won it back. Would you think that there's a chance they want to replay that bloody feud?
What a feud!
Well, I'm just saying because maybe it's not going to be Cody versus Jay. Maybe because I can see them doing Cody versus Sammy at SummerSlam. If Punk doesn't come back, and he might still, but if Punk doesn't come back, and they did, and Jay wins, which I think is the likely scenario as well. Out of the three, I think Jey Uso is now the favorite in my mind. So maybe Cody isn't going to be in the title match. So they can do the Cody Sami Zayn kind of big feud match, which is what I think they want to do at some point soon. But then that leaves Gunther defending against Jay, and I just can't believe that they would run that again.
I have a horrible feeling, actually. Jay wins King of the Ring. They run Jay versus the Tribal Chief. And if you remember a long ways back, when a certain somebody laid down and Hulk Hogan stood in their chest for the 1, 2, 3, and then he booked it out of the ring, why do I have a feeling that we're going to have the Tribal Chief say, lie down, basically get a night off, and it'll be a 30-second in and out, and then you'll have somebody come out from the back on the return or some bullshit like that.
If they would do something like that, then that's got to be a heel turn for Roman. Like that you could that even these idiot fans who I've called out, they couldn't. Surely even they would not be able to cheer that. Surely not. I'm saying that, right? I'm trying to convince myself that the idiot fans still wouldn't cheer Roman Reigns for pulling something like that, which is so dastardly. I just don't see how anyone with any kind of a moral compass could actually still cheer the man after that. There's going to be some, but surely, if Roman Reigns were to do what you suggested, Rebel, there is no way he could be. He couldn't continue to be a baby. Like, he couldn't if he were to pull that. Surely. Am I just convincing myself here?
I hate to say it. We're talking about the majority of the fan base is the people that elected a certain orange Oompa Loompa. So I would underestimate anything that they're capable of.
Then for me, then pro wrestling for me would be more or less dead, because that would just be something that I just don't see. I don't see how you could get invested, because it would destroy the belt as well. Remember when Alan will remember this? Remember when Alan, you remember the thing of Hogan, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Nash and Hogan. That's what Rebel Small is describing.
The thing is, you can't do that again. I know they'll try. I know they would love to do it again, but you can't do it again. That was a once in a lifetime thing. Ultimate heel move. That was ultimate heel move. It attracted so much heat for the NWO at that point. If they weren't hated enough by the fans, the finger poke of doom accelerated them into hell.
Well, it's regarded as one of, if not one of, the key moments for the downfall of WCW. I'm not saying it was the only reason, but if you the top 5 reasons WCW failed, that is on everyone's lists. That moment, because not only did it piss off all the fans, but it damaged the belt, and that's the last thing you want to do. The world title, even this world title, which was obviously developed to be Reigns's. It was developed because Reigns didn't want to appear on Raw. If you remember, that's the reason why this title even exists. But if they do that, it will destroy the belt. It will destroy any value that the belts have. And even Roman Reigns, despite what I think of him, I can't see him actually agreeing to that. I think that he's at least smart enough to know that will destroy the title that he's at least trying to raise up, because I believe he is. Misguided as I find it, I do believe that he is trying to, obviously, he will be at least smart enough to realize that would be biting off his own finger. You know what I mean? That would be self-sabotage. Absolutely doing that. I can't believe he'd do it. I don't think. I couldn't believe. But then again, I couldn't believe Hogan and Nash did it, but they did. Because Hogan ain't an idiot. Hogan, say what you want about Hogan, he wasn't an idiot. He was a lot of things, but he wasn't an idiot. But he agreed to do it. So. I hope you're wrong, Rebel. If they pulled that, I mean, can you imagine the reaction?
Worth a shot.
The reaction.
If they did it right and they booed him out of the building, and then they had a big return, kind of, saying this is bullshit, and we got an impromptu kind of fight out of it, I'd say, you know what? Not the worst thing in the world. But if they kind of, if the crowd still started putting wands to the sky and just completely ignore the fact that we wasted an entire 3 or 4 weeks on the King of the Ring tournament, crowned his cousin, only for him to say, cousin, you're going to declare against me and you're going to lie down and take the pin.
You know what the crazy thing is, Rebel, though? The thing is, right? I can't see Roman Reigns doing it as in, like, I can't see him thinking it's a good idea business-wise backstage. But the Roman Reigns character, that is exactly what I think he would do, because that is the character he plays. I can buy that completely, that character, the Roman Reigns character we see on TV, would easily do that. And that would be within his moral compass. I could easily see that because he's a heel, and that's what heels do. So
I'm not worried about the character. I'm worried about the crowd reaction.
I can't, as jaded as I am about the fans, I can't. Surely they would boo it. Alan, tell me I'm wrong. They would boo that, right?
Yes, they would. Whole 100%.
They wouldn't cheer for Roman if he did that.
They shouldn't do. Is the key phrase. They shouldn't do, but they probably will because, there's an IQ problem.
I don't know. I don't know where you'd go from there, mate. Then, like, if that is honestly what the fans are doing, then it makes everything pointless. Then what are we doing then? What are we doing then? If this is the people we're meant to cheer for, this is meant to be virtuous behavior. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know 2026. I know the world's on fire and everything, right? I know that everything's a bit kind of screwed up, but I mean, this is still meant to be fantasy, isn't it? Right?
Supposedly.
There is still meant to be a little bit of a moral compass going on. It hasn't got to be squeaky clean. It hasn't got to be black and white. I never said that, but there's got to be elements of this, mate. I don't know. I don't know what people in the chat think. A big up to Wayne, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you as well. Maybe we're showing our ages, mate. I don't know. Maybe wrestling's for teenagers now. Even though I said this to Alan last week, there was a report that came out a couple of years ago. You know, the majority of WWE's fan base are 50 and older.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
No, because they've got a lot of people who are still, obviously, who watched them when they were kids, who are still kind of following from their 1980s and 1990s heyday. So there's still a lot of fans kind of hanging on, if that's the right word to use, to nostalgia and stuff like that. So they've still got an awful lot of people who are not impressionable kids who still watch their product.
Very true.
So,
but is that like actually speaking of the product and the ability to watch the product? Obviously, over in the UK, you brought in new legislation with regards to social media usage, and there are going to be certain wrestling shows that, because of that, people will not be able to watch anymore because they're under 16. How much of an issue for Netflix is that potentially a lot of their customer base is being eroded in countries because of new legislations to so-called protect minors from like wrestling shows?
I'll have to ask you about that, Rebel. I knew obviously that this ban is affecting like TikTok and YouTube and social media. Is it actually affecting the streaming sites like Netflix as well?
According to the documents that I've been reading, it's going to extend into any online account. So minors will not be able to hold. Like, there are certain things, obviously, it makes sense that they need to be protected from. But going into streaming services and actually the ability to watch wrestling, I think that's probably a bit of an unintended byproduct, surely.
Yeah, it's a bit too far, isn't it? I mean, it's wrestling, for crying out loud. It's choreographed fighting. So
yeah, but the thing about wrestling is if you look at the general rating for wrestling, the only time that wrestling was either 15, or I forget what, Alan probably knows this more than me, that there's a certain classification they've got in America, TV something,
TV 14, TV or TV 16 or something. Yeah.
So wrestling's never gone above that. So there's never been. I mean, you can say that maybe ECW, right, which I'm not particularly counting. I'm talking more about the more national, like the WCW, NWA, WWE, WWF, when it was WWF. They never went above like a TV. 15, I think, was the highest. I could be wrong. So their stuff was never 18, ever. So I would have thought that for most part, they'll be on the safe side because generally their product doesn't go to those levels and never really has. So the younger kids, 12 or 11, maybe that might be an issue. But if mainly teenagers, I'm going to imagine that most of it will get through. I would have thought, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, like I'm looking here even at AEW stuff because obviously they do split their Wednesday shows, and even their more risque side apparently is compliant with TV-14.
Yeah, and that's AEW where John Moxley bleeds every week. So if that's 14, then
get syringes in his face and spikes in his head.
Yeah. Yeah, I think wrestling, like I say, other than ECW, wrestling never really has gone to the 18 rated. ECW is the closest I can think of back in the day.
Actually, I remember one of the In Your House events was an 18 on VHS.
An 18? What?
Yeah.
During the Attitude Era, was it?
Yeah, I think it was the Bad Blood event. It's gotta be Kane. I'm sure that was an 18.
I'll tell you, one of them might have been. Alan might remember this. Was it Jerry Lawler's girlfriend, the cat, took her top off live?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I can remember the event now.
I think it was a pay-per-view, so it wasn't a weekly show because I don't think they would have allowed to have done it on a weekly show. So it was on pay-per-view when WWE used to have them as pay-per-view, so so it was independent. So they had a bit more leeway about what they could not show. That might have been an 18 because she took her top off live on air. I can't remember that. I can't remember. I think it was the cat. I think it's when she was hanging out with China. I don't remember. 1999 probably. That's just a guess off the top of my head. But it was during the height of the Attitude Era, so that might have been an 18. That one might have got an 18 rate.
Yeah. Well, I just brought up the artwork for In Your House 18, Bad Blood. The Hell in a Cell match on Shawn Michaels. Yeah, it was rated 18.
Wow. I mean, there was a lot of blood in that main event, but
like even when you think about it, Attitude Era, even when they were running around in their brand panties, it was still what they considered, largely speaking, the TV-14 rating. So, as you said, if Netflix is a casualty, no, maybe they're going to say, well, Tequila, you as the father can have an account and you can let your kid watch with you, and that's the way we're going to let you do it. Maybe that's what they're aiming for, but at the same time, streaming services aren't areas where you can be contacted by the people that they're trying to stop getting in contact with these people. So yeah. I'm not sure why it extends to streaming services if that's the case.
It's going to be harder to enforce as well, I think.
Well, I'd imagine in terms of enforcement, it's going to be on the whole signing up for the account that you're basically going to need a credit card. A bit like what Xbox used to do when you were signing on for online services originally. Unless you had an online credit card, you weren't allowed to have an online account.
I can imagine, there's a lot of family accounts with stuff like Netflix, though, isn't there? There must be family accounts. You know what I mean? The dad or the mum gets it for...
Well, yeah, and they can nanny the profiles and limit viewing and all the rest of it. Yeah, I suppose it is a big problem, though, for WWE if Netflix is censored, because I'd imagine they'd want at least the ability for parents to be able to create those accounts and, make that decision themselves whether or not that kids can view that content. But look, we're not politicians. But it was just an interesting one that I thought the fact that wrestling now is under threat from this legislation is kind of going, if they bring this in across the world, and is it going to force the likes of WWE back into a regular TV deal?
Bless you.
I'm trying to think how Netflix was a 10-year deal, wasn't it? And they signed it 4 years ago? 3
Something
years ago?
like that, yeah.
So unless Netflix themselves cancel it, I think WWE are kind of stuck in the deal, unless Netflix get rid of them themselves. Well, and there has been rumors. There's always rumors, though, isn't there? Let's be honest. But there has been rumors, specifically on SmackDown as well. I think SmackDown's even worse. but apparently the last couple of months have seen the lowest on Netflix history on both Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown in particular has been getting some pretty horrible. I mean, there's good reasons for that, but even Raw. So let's not think like this Bloodline storyline that everyone loves is doing great. No, it's really not. It's really not. So whether or not Netflix one actually, will still be interested. I reckon if you privately ask the suits in Netflix, they have not got what they paid for.
Well, I think you need to look at what's after happening with the whole project since TKO came in. They've pretty much broken it, and they've the reason why UFC was a bit immune to all the other stuff that was going on around in terms of the adverts and all the rest of it is because it's genuine fighting where people are beating the living tar out of each other. So, you're not worried about storyline. You're interested in the matchup, and if they botch the whole stream with putting in stupid ads like what they did during WrestleMania, they don't really care because they're watching real fighting. But the problem is in WWE at the moment, they've broken storytelling. They've broken the players' parts in kind of saying you need to boo me, and doing stuff to kind of get that reaction out of the crowd. So maybe that's why we need something as outlandish as Jay lying down for Roman, just so that we can get the boos going on him and stop cheering the man.
Chance to be a fine thing.
If it all depends. All right, I'll tell you what, Rebel. I think, and I don't even particularly like this guy, but whether I like it or not, the fans do, right? And that's where I need to step aside a little bit because even though I don't like it, the fans obviously do. If Obafemi really is their chosen one, and all signs point that he is, I've not seen somebody be this protected in a long time. I know he lost to Brock, but as he lost after, again, 7 F5s. Okay, I've not seen anyone be as protected as Obafemi. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. For good reason, and I already said my reasons more than once. But if they really are going to go the whole way, me and Alan last week said there is a lack of good heels, powerful, strong heels in this company. The WrestleMania main event was Punk and Roman, baby faces. Orton, technically meant to be a heel. Fans weren't buying it. Didn't want to boo him, right? So I don't even think Orton's a heel right now. If Orton comes out next week, he's getting cheered, right? So what heels do they have? They don't. So if they really want to push this Obafemi as the new savior, right? Then they need to turn Roman heel because it's Roman he's got to beat. He needs to be the one to end the bloodline storyline. And I'd be more than fine if you're asking me to make a decision, I'd do it now. I would do it now. I'd have Obafemi win King of the Ring. I'd have Jacob Fatu come out, try to get Jay to win. I'd have Roman come out, all of them come out, try to cheat and get Jay to win that King of the Ring, and Obafemi fends them all off. Okay, and they can keep Brock. They can keep the third match with Brock. That hasn't got to be done next month. It doesn't have to be. That can be.
That's true.
He'll need a challenger for his belt.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you do then. Then you have Obafemi win the King of the Ring. You have the Bloodline try and stop him. He goes through the Bloodline, or at least he stops them from interfering. And then right away, you've got your big main event that the fans will care about. And I do think the fans will probably cheer over Reigns. If Reigns started doing some of this stuff that you just said, Rebel, then I think they probably would gravitate to Obafemi because Obafemi is one of the few people probably with the support who could maybe get Roman booed. There's not many, but Obafemi probably could be one of the few who probably could make people boo Roman. If they all started beating him down. Did you guys also see quickly? Did you guys see on SmackDown last week what they did with Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa?
Yeah.
They are trying. So they are literally now trying to get Solo Sikoa back into the bloodline. This is now a part of the story. If Jacob Fatu goes over to SmackDown and says, "Oh, Roman wants you back," let's not get started about how that makes any. This is the same Solo Sikoa who tried to take the bloodline from Roman, right? Who stole his little pepper necklace stuff, right? And he feuded with him for a year, right? And did all these things. So let's look past that logic if we can. So now Roman wants to get him back as well. So they are completely repeating it, literally man for man now. So I think, to answer your question, Rebel mate, I think Obafemi, if they want to get Roman Reigns booed, Obafemi is a key to it, because then obviously they're not going to boo LA Knight over. They're not going to cheer LA Knight over him. Obviously they're not. We more or less know that, because if they were going to do that, then they wouldn't have been still putting the ones up after LA Knight gets beaten down by 3 of them. They still wouldn't be on the bloodlines. You know, if they were really going to rally behind LA Knight against Roman Reigns, right, then they would be cheering LA Knight. I mean, they still do cheer, but they don't boo the other part of that. They're still cheering the bloodline. So the fact that the bloodline are beating down LA Knight on a weekly basis isn't strong enough of a reaction to make them boo Roman Reigns. But if they started beating down Obafemi and they tried to con him out of the King of the Ring, and could that galvanize the response that you've just said for Roman Reigns? Because I don't think they didn't even cheer CM Punk over him. And I've got to be honest, as much as I was cheering for Punk, I can't sit here and say to you that they were even cheering Punk. It was about 50-50, but they didn't even choose CM Punk over him. And if they're not going to choose CM Punk over him, they ain't going to choose LA Knight over him. So who's left? Where they're going to actually choose somebody over Roman? Because if that's what it's coming to, who's left where they're going to choose somebody? This is the fans, not WWE, the fans, I mean. Who else are they going to cheer over Roman Reigns? Who's going to actually say, you know what, we prefer you to Roman? They didn't do it to Punk. They're not doing it to LA Knight. They didn't do it to Jacob. So Cody Rhodes, Rebel, if they were to do Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns next week, you know as well as I do who's getting cheered in that match. Not Cody.
Yep, you're 100% correct. And I just wanted to wrap up. You mentioned about cheering of LA Knight, and I think, you talk about capitalizing on moments when a person is well and truly over, who probably has a short life. Like Danhausen at the moment is mega WWE imprinting money because of the fact that the Knicks won the NBA championship, and there was a whole curse scenario, and ESPN ran with it, and they did everything possible to make sure that he was linked with it, so much so that even the Knicks players are buying into the kayfabe of it. Yeah. And they're doing everything that they should do by putting a main event in the Garden in July. He's on the posters. He is the star because he is going to get the biggest pop you've ever heard in New York. But to go back to who I wanted to mention, LA Knight, but 12 to 18 months ago, was in a position where they should have put the World Championship on him. He was huge. Everything was getting done right for him. But WWE didn't have the balls to pull the trigger, and they missed out on the money shot. LA Knight now is a mid-carder. No more.
His match at SummerSlam, I know, like we were all not hoping, but we all thought, maybe they will finally have him win the King of the Ring. They'll turn him heel, which is what it looked like the route they were going, and then he'll fight Roman. Is it the biggest match they could have put on? No, but it might have been good enough, especially for maybe a night one of SummerSlam, right? It looks like he'll be lucky. He'll be lucky if he faces Jimmy. That's the most likely match, I think, based upon the storyline. He might fight Jay. If Jay were to not win the King of the Ring, which it looks like he is, if he were to not win the King of the Ring, I could see Jay versus LA Knight. But I think he's going to more likely end up having a singles match against Jimmy. That's what it looks like to me, at least right now.
Yeah.
Which is literally the epitome of a mid card. So you're right, Rebel. That's low. That's a low to mid card match. It's certainly no higher than mid. That is probably definition of the third match on the show.
Yeah, and it's just, I suppose it's key of identifying when you need to push. Like they've had opportunities with other superstars over the years. At the moment, I think there would be a big pop if Raquel punked out with Morgan, for example, but they won't push the trigger on that. I think they're not able to identify what they need. Like, they've decimated all the tag teams. Like, Our Bloody Truth, who I think if you sat down with him with a pint tonight, he will admit that he's actually been a proper in-ring competitor or over. And like, only for the comedy bits, I'd say he would be long since retired. And I think he would say it's absurd that I'm holding a tag team strap at the moment.
Rebel, I got to ask you, now you brought up R-Truth and Damien Priest. What was your reaction when, because I know you're a big Balor fan, so what was your reaction when you saw Balor interacting with fucking Damien Priest and more Judgment Day stuff? I thought to myself, he's literally just, excuse me, he's literally just left the Judgment Day behind, go to SmackDown, and one of his first interactions is with bloody Damien Priest. And I'm thinking to myself, do not run that feud. Why are we? It's more Judgment Day. Leave it all behind. Let Balor do his own stuff. Do not even mention a Judgment Day again to Finn Balor, please. Do not stop revisiting past rivalries with Damien Priest. And,
it was a facepalm moment for me, to be honest with you. Like, they sent him over there to get him away from Dominic Mysterio. Like, I'd say something if, before they moved him, that he kind of patched it up with JD. JD turned on Dom, and he left with him. I'd say something if that happened, but it didn't. They moved him completely away from the Judgment Day. And to put him in a position where your first interaction is with Damien Bloody Priest, it's like, are we really doing this again? Like, they are literally fumbling this man's career. He is unbelievable. We saw what he did in NXT. We saw what he did out in Japan. We saw what he was capable of in the main roster when they actually gave him the ball. But now they're like similar to the Johnny Gargano stuff. Like similar to the stuff they're even doing with Miz, even though I think, to be fair to Miz, he's loving every moment of that shit that he's doing with Danhausen. So, I think he's happy enough. But if you're not going to use the guy properly, and if you're just going to recycle the same bullshit, release the man. Just let him go. Let him move on. Because Finn Balor is far too talented to spend the next however long he's left in his contract rehashing the same bullshit over and over again.
You just mentioned his name, and I wonder, because I know Alan watched the same stuff I did in NXT back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Gargano proved to me as a baby face, not as a heel. As a heel, I don't think it worked. As a baby face, during the Gargano and Ciampa feud, right? That was incredible. That storyline was incredible. So Johnny Gargano, if you think about misused talent compared to like where they ended up, and people can say, "Oh, there's a lot of guys from NXT." Yeah, to a certain degree, but I can't think of anyone. Maybe Karrion Kross maybe might be in the same, but I don't think Karrion Kross is anywhere near the talent, with all due respect, that Johnny Gargano is. So when I think of just the talent that Johnny Gargano has, not only as a wrestler, but also, I'm not saying he's not the best promo of all time, and I know that he's small and all these things that I know that goes against him. I do get it, but as an underdog babyface, I think I've only seen two people that I think maybe do it better than him: Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, and Sami Zayn. He is in that ilk, a small babyface character who's great at storytelling. He's great at selling as well. And I'm disgusted because Triple H saw this with it. Triple H booked this storyline with him and Ciampa. He lived it. He booked it. And he brings him up to the main roster. And as Rebel just said, he's been sitting on a table for, is it since February?
Yeah.
Well, whenever Ciampa left, wasn't it?
That's like March or something then. But bloody hell. Yeah. I just don't get it. Because Triple H knows. He knows that what he has in him. I'm not saying that Johnny Gargano is going to become a world champion. I never said that. But I've never seen a ball fumbled so much. And it makes no sense because I know that Triple H sees it because Triple H booked it and did it. So he must still see it. So what is Why is he got nothing better to do? I'm not saying you need to put the world belt on him, but don't tell me that Johnny Gargano couldn't be a US champion. Don't tell me he couldn't be involved at least solidly in the mid card on a weekly basis, playing this underdog babyface character. How have they not done anything with him, man? I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I don't logically, my brain doesn't process it because Triple H, unless he thinks he hasn't got it anymore, unless I don't know, he's seen something. Did Gargano get injured or something that's taken away some of his ability that none of us know about?
My story that I've heard is that him and the wife are refusing to extend contracts. So basically, they're running down their contract, making them do stupid shit.
Well, maybe if they booked him properly, he wouldn't want to run his contract down.
So much like the Revival. Remember what the Revival were doing before they left?
When they doing stuff in the shower with the Usos, I remember that.
Yeah, that waxing each other's backs and stuff.
Oh yeah, fucking.
Yeah. Actually, to finish out, I want to come with another nice story. Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, showed up to watch Mark Henry's daughter amateur wrestle in one of her tournaments. So, Mr. Nice Guy, Brock Lesnar, coming in supporting his friends' children.
Well, human beings are obviously very complex creatures. Obviously, Brock Lesnar's not a monster. Although, if you hear about stuff to do with, dare I say her name, Janelle Grant and all that stuff, if you want to look into it, I'm not going to particularly get involved in it right now. But if you look about some of the things that Brock's rumored to have done, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because you hear stories like this and you think, oh, what a lovely guy he could be. And then you hear about some of the other stuff, apparently, that he's done with women.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to think, to be honest with you. I think, as I just said, human people can be the very best sometimes, and they can do the very worst. And they can both do both.
Humans are complicated.
Well, yeah. Alan's much more PC about it, yeah.
Gotta be.
Well, yeah. So I'm not that surprised. Brock Lesnar could be a nice guy when he wants to be, I'm sure, but he can also be obviously a right piece of garbage when he wants to be as well, obviously.
Absolutely. And to finish off, I would like to announce that next week on SmackDown, it's going to be the Dermatron versus The Undertaker inside at Steel Cage. Player.
One-on-one with The Undertaker. Let's go get Teddy Long in there as well. Do you want to give a quick prediction for the title match then? Because obviously the world title match is what is it, Thursday? So it's tomorrow night. Do we think, just quickly, I'm gonna ask you guys. I've said I don't know if Cody stays the champion. What would I do? I'd put the belt on Zayn. I know they're not gonna. I would, because I find him the most compelling of the three characters, but I don't think they're gonna. Do they put it on Gunther? And is that their way out of the whole Jey Uso thing? Give it to Gunther. Jey Uso versus Gunther. Nobody wants to see it, but at least it's a babyface versus a heel rather than doing the Jey Uso Cody Rhodes. And then Cody Rhodes can fight Zayn, because I think Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn makes sense for me for a grudge match at SummerSlam, especially if Sami Zayn costs him the belt. So
yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I think it makes perfect sense. That's the only thing it does make sense. Remember, we spoke common sense last week and we were wrong.
Well,
yeah.
Jay's winning the King of the Ring, guys. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to book it. I'm pretty sure that Jay's winning. I just don't know how.
Well, here's my issue. Let's say they protect Cody from the bloodline and they give the belt to Gunther. There's no situation in the wide earthly world where Jay beats Gunther if he wins King of the Ring.
I wouldn't think that they would have that happen again. No, I agree with you. I think that would be...
Well, the LA Knight gets involved.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. LA Knight to get his revenge on Jay, I suppose.
We should put like a little sound on this channel, really, common sense alert or something.
You see, if they do that, then they can still have They can still have over versus Brock, and they could technically I could see them making that, because you've got to remember, lads, it is Brock's hometown, so they could justify the Brock Lesnar over Femi as the night one main event. So if they were to do that, then the world title or the undisputed title wouldn't actually have the main event night one, and all these title matches we're talking about doesn't scream. Punk versus Cody would be, that one's different. But everything else, Jay versus Cody, that ain't a night one. That's not a pay-per-view main event. Gunter versus Jay, that's not a pay-per-view main event. So if they aren't going to have the world title main event night one, then I suppose they can have a Gunter versus Jay. They can have a Cody. They can even have a Cody versus Jay. I mean, I think this is maybe where we could be making a mistake. We're looking, I like it like, oh, Jay's not going to win because they can't justify that as a SummerSlam main event. You're right. But who says it was going to be?
Very true.
It could be just rocking over. So.
The other question I have for you, and it's a very quick one. I did share obviously a picture of the latest NXT star with you. It's another blonde, surprise, by the name of Megan Walker. But I won't be going into that today. Next week's SmackDown is in the UK. And for some bizarre reason, they decided to leave Europe, go back to America, and to come back to Europe. Don't ask me why they've done that. But it's going to be pre-recorded.
Yeah. I don't know why. Because they're on the way to Saudi, aren't they, next weekend?
Oh, they are, aren't they?
That's why. They're on the way back to Saudi.
Oh,
for Saudi Blood Money 18, 19 or 20, wherever it is.
I would like to say quickly, Revel, on that picture, she looks like Aleister Black's wife, Zelina Vega.
Well, the first one is. The second one isn't.
Yeah, the other one looks like a.
Oh, sorry, I've only seen the first one. Sorry, yeah, I didn't see the second one. I actually pass on both on my fussy. I do. I think Alan's right. I think that's Tiffany Stratton. Why is it with these fake looking blondes all the time? Come on, what's wrong with a nice brunette? I prefer brunettes anyway. Give me Roxanne Perez. I don't want to go in blonde. Okay, just
don't be saying anything about our redheads. The Irish redhead.
I got no problem with redheads. Redheads are fine.
But on that bombshell, it is time to end. Alan, any last thoughts?
No, not really. I'm just kind of sick and tired of this whole Roman Reigns thing. I just wish it would be over.
Yeah. Tequila the Body Ventura, your friend.
So the Bloodline storyline started in 2020 when Reigns came back from because he had to leave because he couldn't be around during the pandemic because leukemia, isn't it? He had leukemia.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as he came back, and he came back as a heel, that was 2020. So we're now 6 years in. Not only out of those 6 years has Reigns been a world champion for, I think, like 4.5 out of those 6 years, which should tell you about how fresh it feels. But yes, he is now playing the same character, doing the same things with the same people, with the exception of Paul Heyman. As I said earlier, it looks like they want to get Solo Sikoa back. Solo Sikoa rejected them, but he might have rejected them for 1 week. But the fact they're actually delving back into exactly the same characters scares the hell out of me because I can't begin to think that we could be. I don't think it's going to happen because I think someone like Obafemi that they're not going to wait 4 years. I think Obafemi they're not. I think they could. I think the latest they could delay the Obafemi Reigns world title match that I think we all know is going to happen. The latest they could delay that is by next WrestleMania. I think they have to have it by then. If The Rock doesn't agree to wrestle, then that probably is what I think the main event will be. So I'm assuming that the Reigns world title reign couldn't last past then. So that is the only hope I've got.
I agree with you that the delay could be up to WrestleMania, but I think the only way they get that is if they put the other belt on Oba and then have them duke it out, however they manage it at WrestleMania. But you did mention one thing, and I've obviously been griping about Cody Rhodes' stick for the last 6 months, and the fact that they need to come away from the current Cody Rhodes stick and what you want to talk about and all this nonsense. Like, it's a bit like LA Knight. They probably needed him to be a bit more like his TNA character. at this stage because the good guy kind of Eddie Knight kind of had its moment and they needed to move on from it. There's a lot of characters that are stale in WWE at the moment. There's a lot of belts that are stale, the tag divisions. The women's undercard titles are an absolute joke. The United States Men's Championship is a joke. The Intercontinental title, to its credit, was decent, but there's a lot needed to restore credibility in a lot of the titles. We can obviously rant and rave about this till the cows come home, but we will leave it there until next week. I suppose. Good night, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
What a maneuver!
Yeah.
Let's get it in there.
Good night.